Aaron Rodgers signs a brand new restructured deal with the New York Jets. And this was kind of crazy because you don't see people very often give back money like this, especially a guy like Aaron Rodgers with this personality. Had nearly $110 million guaranteed remaining on his old deal in Green Bay before he, of course, signed the 2-year, $75 million fully guaranteed deal. There's a no tag, there's a no trade clause, and we'll get into it a little more as we get through the topic, man. But let's start right off the top. Are you surprised a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who has had his names of lists and possibly been passive aggressive in press conferences and maybe throwing coaches under the bus, that this guy essentially gave back $35 million and signed this type of deal this late in his career with the Jets?
I wasn't surprised that he took a pay cut because I do think that Aaron Rodgers is at a point in his career in which he's made his money and he
Right.
kind of wants to win. And it's
Yeah.
been a long time since he's won at,
Right.
at, at a high level. So I think that he wants to go prove himself on the Jets and prove that he can win elsewhere because we saw Brady do it. We've seen
Yep.
Peyton Manning do it. And now if
Yep.
Rodgers does it, he adds himself to an exclusive class of
Stafford as well.
quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls with multiple franchises. So I
Right.
think that legacy kind of matters to Rodgers now,
Right.
but $35 million is quite a bit to say no to. So I was a little bit surprised about that for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and when you look at, like you said, Aaron Rodgers' career earnings, I actually was peeping it last night before I went to sleep. He's made over, I think, $340 million in his career up into this point. Just signs the 2-year, $75 million fully guaranteed deal. And let's break it down a little bit because I think this really says a lot about what the Jets are seeing in Aaron Rodgers and what Aaron Rodgers is seeing possibly in the future of the Jets. Because we had some comments come out and sources are like, oh, apparently Aaron Rodgers expect this to be more than a 1-year thing. He comes out and says, I just don't see this as a one and done type of thing. But he's going to get a $35 million roster bonus on July 31st. And his base salary for 2023 is just over $1.8 million. Then his base salary in 2024 is going to jump up to 38.1. So a lot of the money is going to be backloaded in this contract. Here's the thing, though, and I don't know if you caught this, Peyton. This is technically a 5-year deal, including 2 option years to spread out bonus proration and create a 2023 cap number of just under $9 million, hence why the base salary is 1.8, and he's getting the fat, really first part of the year of the contract in a roster bonus, which really gives him maximum flexibility for the Jets to build around him. Don't you feel like with this type of contract now, and we're going to get into Dalvin Cook here in a little bit, don't you feel like this type of contract shows that Aaron Rodgers is really willing to kind of stay more than a year or two? I mean, with it technically being a 5-year deal, and this feels like the players are going to absolutely play their asses off for him. I mean, am I right or wrong there?
No, certainly. I think initially, I think that when Rodgers got traded to the Jets, the kind of sense was that it was going to be maybe a 2-year thing, right?
Yeah.
And that Rodgers was going to be on his way out because he had done
Right.
he'd kind of hinted at retirement a couple of times in Green Bay every single offseason. It was almost like a little bit of a rumbling there. And
Yeah.
now, he's a different dude. He's a different guy. And sometimes it's hard to understand him.
Yeah.
But I think that ever since he's gotten to New York, we've seen this kind of version of him in which he's comfortable. He's
Right.
happy. He's getting
Right.
along with his teammates. You see Sauce Gardner giving him a new chain and stuff like that. And
Literally.
it's that he's having fun. And I say, listen, if he's having fun, he should not stop. So I think it is a good thing for him to stay in the NFL for a 5-year deal if he feels like he can play that long.
Yeah, it would be nice to see him have that 2 or 3-year deal because as much as I find this deal kind of leaning me back into Aaron Rodgers, because I've been one of the few saying like the Jets should not walk away. They should run from Aaron Rodgers because he's never really meshed with younger players, the attitude problems getting later in the career. He's kind of flirted with retirement the past 2 or 3 years. Blame the Green Bay Packers because they didn't FaceTime him. Like it's been real interesting to see now this side of Aaron Rodgers hanging out with a young Sauce Gardner, connecting with a Garrett Wilson in practice, which if you think about it, he's really got no
They're gonna be
damn
scary.
choice, obviously, because he's got a very young roster. But part of me also doesn't want to take the bait and be like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is turning a new leaf. This is a completely new player because he is, I want to say 38 years old. He has been in the NFL for well over a decade and some change now. You really can't teach an old dog new tricks. But when you come out and take a $35 million pay cut, when you're basically reducing the amount of money in that very first year, which I feel like is the most pressure, it really shouldn't be. I think he should have that 2 years to kind of prove himself with the Jets. But when you have that type of money surrounding him in the first year, that's showing that they are willing to bring in people around him. He is willing to take that less of money so they can actually bring in more talent. Now, let's get into the real question because, again, this has kind of got me. Is Aaron Rodgers turning into a new leaf, or is he just doing what they want him to do? And then we're really going to see the old traits of A-Rod by, I don't know, week 6, week 7, week 11. How long do you really see Aaron Rodgers playing in New York now that he's got this type of deal in place?
Listen, I have always said that for any of these athletes, if you still love it, keep playing.
Right.
Joe Theismann is quoted as saying that, having his career end shortly. For as long as Aaron Rodgers loves it, that's the answer. That's how
Yep.
long that he will keep playing for.
I love it.
Brady, he had a lot of stuff going on. He played for a long time, but he had a lot of stuff going on off the field last year, and he lost focus of it. He lost that same drive that he used to have.
Right.
So he left the game, and it'll be the same thing for Aaron Rodgers as well. Right now, Aaron Rodgers is in perfect health.
Yeah.
There is nothing indicating that he is not physically capable of playing this game anymore or will be at any time soon. So
Yeah.
whenever he's done is when he'll be done.
Yeah, I'm right there with you too. Not to kind of give such an oxymoron or basic answer, but when you see that it is that technical 5-year deal that's in place, he does get that 2 years, 75 million fully guaranteed. I definitely see him playing out those two, depending on, of course, how the 2 years go. Like I think if we're talking about maybe a divisional this year and then AFC title game next year, we could see A-Rod work out those final 2-3 years of the deal, bring in those those option bonuses and whatnot. But it's very interesting, and when I saw the news break, because I think a lot of people forget that when Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know if you thought about this too, when Aaron Rodgers signed with the New York Jets, he was giving out his wish list, and then nobody was really talking about how they had to restructure that deal if they really wanted to get more talent around him. And don't get me wrong, now that Aaron Rodgers is there and Dalvin Cook is more than likely, or whatever the sources are saying, going to be signing with the Jets, it's a lot happening. It definitely is. But let's get on actually into the Dalvin Cook segment of the show. Michael Darby is a very, very loyal fan of the show, and he asks every new person, what team are you a fan of, Peyton?
I'm a Browns fan.
Hey, that's okay, though.
Yeah, I have been rooting for the Browns for quite some time now, and
Was that the phone
I've
case I
been
saw
sticking
there?
up with them. Yeah.
Nice. I have a lot of faith in you guys this year. I actually just dropped my it's kind of funny that you're a Browns fan and then I bring you on for this show because just today I dropped the what's it called? The AFC North predictions, or the Browns part anyways. And I have you guys winning the North because of y'all's
Really?
schedule, the way it's going to play out, like Bengals, Ravens, kind of the inexperience of the Steelers. I feel like is really going to give y'all the upper hand in terms of inexperience with the Steelers. Bengals and Ravens just kind of have a tough schedule, even though it's, I want to say, in the bottom half of the league.
Mhm.
But I'm pumped for you guys, dude. And I'm really excited to see how Deshaun Watson is actually going to make things shake out there because everyone's kind of tripping about last season.
Me too, but being a Cleveland fan, you don't want to get your hopes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I know exactly what you mean.